Welcome, everyone, to the How to Get the Most Out of College podcast. There's a lot of talk about where to go to college, but not nearly enough about how to go to college. And it's the everyday decisions that drive your success. I'm your host, Elliot Felix. I've been a consultant to more than 100 colleges and universities, helping them improve their student experience. And I'm the author of How to Get the Most Out of College, where I take what I've learned about how college works and make it work for you. This is a bonus episode, so it'll be a little bit different. Rather than me interviewing a student or a higher ed expert on student success, I'm sharing a short talk I gave at a conference called Designing 21st Century Libraries. At the conference, I had a chance to talk about the trends that are changing higher education and how those are reshaping libraries. We talk about belonging, how students can work on real-world projects and build skills, and what a next generation library can do to support that. Have a listen. Let me know what you think. We thought it would be great to start off with some big picture thoughts about what's happening more broadly in higher ed and how that might impact libraries in the future. So I'm going to spend about 10 minutes doing that, using some of the research from my book, which is called How to Get the Most Out of College. It's a book on student success. And I hope it's helpful to kind of set the stage. And I think as we're thinking about the future, one thing I really want to avoid is the all too familiar higher ed is broken, let's use this technology to fix it trope. I think the future is bright for colleges and universities. I think they're remarkable places. I think they're inclusive communities. I think they do teaching and learning that informs and inspires. They do research that creates real impact for real people. I think there's some headwinds. There's demographic cliffs. There is questions of value. There is competing credentials, be they badges or certificates or others. But I think we have a bright future together. I would like to spend, just a few minutes imagining that future, imagining what we can do together as libraries, as colleges, as universities, and imagine an experience for students where all students, to start with, have a sense of belonging. And I think this is so important, feeling like you matter, feeling like you're part of a community, feeling like you're listened to, you're cared for. That is so fundamental. And national data here is kind of mixed. If you look at the National Survey of Student Engagement, which surveys about 200,000 students, about 80% of students say they have this sense of belonging. And they break it down into these three areas. You're comfortable being yourself, you're valued by the institution, and you feel like you're part of a community. If you look at the National College Health Assessment, it's a lot more grim. There, only about 64% of students say they feel like they belong. And that's about 60,000 students nationally. It's a great survey, by the way. If you're ever looking for a sense of how students are thinking in terms of health and well-being, it's a great resource. But no matter where you look, and I think we have an intuitive sense of this, we know that students who have that sense of belonging are more connected. They're more likely to persist. They're more likely to not just survive, but to thrive. I think once you establish that sense of belonging, then it's really about support. It's really about providing the support that students need to succeed. The right services in the right place at the right time can make all the difference. I think this is where libraries have this great opportunity to be hubs for student services. They can be hubs for creativity and scholarship. They can bring together all these things to support students for who they are, how they are in their coursework, in their research. And we know that bringing the services together actually has an attributable gain in retention. And I think as we're thinking about supporting students, using library resources as this hub for creativity, as this hub for student success is such an opportunity because you all can bring together spaces and services and technology and experts and information to help students. We know that those that use those resources are 1.44 times more likely to graduate. It's a pretty big impact. We also know that once students have that sense of belonging, have that sense of support, advice is really critical. Advising, mentoring, connecting with a student as a person and helping them connect their coursework to a career path is vital. And that's also something that librarians can play a role in, both in housing. That might be, the place where you meet with an advisor in neutral turf. You might also get advice from library professionals.
And we know that the relationship with an advisor is so critical that for every percentage point more satisfied a student is with their advisor, they're 1.5 percentage points more likely to stay enrolled. That may sound like a small amount, but it actually amounts to tens of thousands of students kind of staying in higher ed every year for every percentage point. And I think when students are coming to the library physically and digitally to find belonging, to find support, to find each other, to use resources, take advantage of services, there's an opportunity to build skills too. And we don't have to guess at what these skills are. Of course, there's always a new piece of software to learn. There's always, things are always changing. But the AAC&U has been doing this survey called What Employers Want for the last 15 years. Teamwork is number one. It's always number one. Data, I hear libraries can be a good place to work with data. And digital literacy, number 5. So there's a real role to play for libraries in helping students build the skills they need to succeed in life, at work, in college. And those skills can come together in projects. And one of the great opportunities for libraries, and it isn't an either or, it's more of a both and, is not only is the library a place to support study, right? Studying for the test, writing a paper, but for scholarly projects, creative projects. You're making a video, you're making a performance, you're making a prototype, you're working together. And if that work can not only be theoretical or hypothetical, but can actually be applied to the community and can tap into students' passion and help a community group along the way. Maybe for your marketing class, you're doing a social media strategy for a local nonprofit, or maybe you're mapping the water quality of a nearby river, or maybe you're gathering histories of local residents. Whatever it may be, we know that these community impact projects, community engagement, service learning, it not only helps the community, it helps the student. There's some great research I found in the book that students that are engaged in service learning get hired faster and get paid more. It's kind of like a win-win-win. And I can't think of a better place to work on these kinds of projects than the library. The other thing that students can work on while they're in the library, and that can be part of these projects, is conduct their own original research. We know this is a high impact practice. It's associated with student engagement, with student success, with retention, and it's a chance for students to make an impact. It could be their own research. It could be work with faculty. And the library is a great way to learn about these opportunities through fairs or other activities. It's a great way to support those activities with data, with skills, with tools, with information. It's a great place to showcase those projects, to generate more interest and get more students involved and build momentum. And as students are gaining that momentum, as they're connecting their courses to a career and they're getting advice from advisors and mentors, and they're using that project, maybe that project for the local nonprofit leads to an internship. And maybe in the library is where they connect with someone from career service, a often woefully underused campus resource. If we can also help students have fruitful internships, we know that this pays off as well. Students who do internships are 1.5 times more likely to think their education was worth the cost. And they're 1.8 times more likely to be engaged at work after graduation, right? To find that work meaningful, satisfying, to be committed to it and to their colleagues and to their organization. Basically the opposite of quiet quitting. And these are all things that I think libraries can help. So if you want to learn more about this, I happen to just write all this down in an op-ed in Library Journal. I think we have a bright future together. I think higher ed and libraries specifically can be places where students find that sense of belonging. And maybe it's in partnership with different identity or affinity groups and centers on campus, through bringing together partners to provide support in the library, to support student projects in courses and in the community, to make their operations more affordable and accessible along the way, to support that original research and to build the skills that students need in life, in college, and in work.
Thanks everyone for listening. Remember to subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you get your podcasts, and check out elliottfelix.com for all the episodes and the articles I've written, talks I've given, and more information about the book.